This video I'll try to, the best I can anyway, with some young guppies, show pretty much trying to sex baby guppies as they're growing out. It's something you want to do as quick as you can. Identifying the females isn't as important as identifying the males, because the males, once they start to impregnate the females, then you're going to have to wait out if a couple of drops if you didn't expect that male to hit the female. It's kind of, if you're doing colony breeding, you definitely want to cull as quickly as possible because they can damage the whole line, more or less, because for some reason in life, especially with fish, the ugly males are going to get in there first. Evidently they're faster or they're smarter. I don't know what the deal is, but they ruin things very quickly. Unless you want ugly fish, then they're doing a great job. But these are the Luke Roebuck full reds. These were born in the beginning of June, so they're 2.5 months old. I have a couple of older fish in there, because there was one female that had a drop of like 4 in the 10-gallon tank, and I was lazy and I didn't really want to devote a 10-gallon tank to 4 fish. So since the sister of that female that was in with the same males was about to drop, I thought I kind of kept them in until I got that drop. So long story short, there are some indicators that you think will work, but they really don't. You can see some of these fish have a red area in the tail and the upper part of the back of the body. And naturally you would think, well, they're probably females, but the females of that strain also have that, as you can see with the ones here. That's exactly what they look like. So you can't necessarily think that's a female either. Now this one it's a little older, and you can see a gravid spot. Now a gravid spot can be one of really two things. It can be baby's eyes once they're impregnated. It can also just be poop or eggs that are starting to develop. So I guess that's 3 things. But this is the telltale indicator. If you look at the anal fin on this one here, which is nice and blurry now. Let's see if we can clear it up. You can see it's starting to sharpen. And when it sharpens, it becomes the gonopodium, and it's a male. So if I was going to separate these fish out, this guy would come out right away, go into his own tank, as would this one, which it's starting to sharpen. So you kind of develop a pretty decent eye for differences. The youngest ones, you can't really tell anything yet. This one is probably going to be a male, I think. Let's see if I can get him to slow the heck down. It's a fast dude. He ain't slowing down. Alright, forget that. But anyhow, with these red deltas, that's how you can tell. Now, I'll go to a couple of more strains to try to go over the differences with them. Try to make this a little more inclusive so you can figure out what's what with your fish. Now, these fish will be a little bit easier to figure out because these were born May 27th I have here. So obviously this is a male. These are half black AOCs, any other color, or half black leopards. There's not too many in here. It was a small drop. And this is obviously, like I said, going to be a male. This one is probably going to be a female. They all develop the half black color pretty quickly, within about the first 6 weeks. Some of them are even born darker. But every single one ends up being a half black. There's been nothing else. This one's probably going to be a male. You're starting to see some color in the tail and the dorsal. And the anal fin is just beginning to get some color and sharpen. So that's one way. That's a female. You can see the gravid spot. And let me see who else we got in here. Okay, that's, well, I just switched places, but that was also going to be a male. Definitely a female. I think I already showed that guy. And this is going to be a male. That one's really too small to tell. He's probably going to have to come out because he's too small compared to the rest, so he's not growing right. You can throw them into another tank when they are slow growers if you don't want to cull them or destroy them or feed them to something else. But you don't want them in your line because it's going to really just screw things up. Nice way of putting it. So that's a little bit different with these. I'll try to continue with some albinos because they develop a little slower and some of the same characteristics. Now with albinos, they're slower growing fish, so they're going to take a little longer to start to kind of max out as far as being able to tell what males from females. Now this is another line. These are the all red albinos that I got a drop from the last female I had, which was great because it saves the line and gives me another chance to kind of get these things going. So trying to get some of them off to the side. Now this one is obviously going to be a male. You can see there's more color. You really can't see the anal fin starting to sharpen yet. Probably in another week or so. Most of these are going to be too young to tell. I just wanted to show some that these are older fish, but they're not ready yet. That one right in the middle is a female. Just disappeared. So is that one. This one as well. They all have the color starting out at the I don't know what to call that part of the body. It's at the back of the end of the body where the caudal peduncle is starting. So the ones that have a little bit more color, and a little bit brighter color, are most likely going to be the males. So what will happen is the anal fin will sharpen into the gonopodium. That red that you're starting to see in the dorsal, which the females don't get, and the red at the base of the back of the body will start to spread further, kind of like if it was a zombie, and probably not. And the color will just spread forward until most of the entire fish's body is red. Now this one has it as well, but I believe that one's going to be a female. So still a little early to tell. The other strange thing with guppies is sometimes they can start to develop as one sex and then convert or switch to the other. It's not a conscious thing, it just kind of happens. It could be survival of the species thing, like if there's a small amount of fish and there's no females, you may see one switch, but it's like that in frogs and stuff, but not really with guppies. And what happens is that fish just ends up really being a mule, which is, sadly, just an infertile fish that is going to either be a really big, colorful female or a really gigantic male with probably not a long tail or anything. So anyway, that's the albinos are a little tougher. I was kind of hoping some of them would be further along. This one I think is going to be a male. So what I'll have to do is maybe pick up this video in the future. I think we definitely have a male here. And we'll try again. But yeah, hopefully some of the information helps. Now the last line I'll go over is the platinum red mosaic big ear guppies, and the reason for including them in this is a tank with some older males from a prior generation, one older female, and which is right there, and a bunch of a batch that I lost my little card, but I believe these were born in early April. because at 4 months old, these start to color up. That's definitely a female there. This is going to be a male. You can see the anal fin is just beginning to sharpen, and the tail is getting a little bit more color. Now the females have a blue color in the tail, a little bit different, but the reason for including these is it takes about 5 or 6 months to end up with a male that looks like this. What will happen is in about the 3.5 to 4 month range, the tail colors will start to come in. The dorsal colors won't, and the anal fin will sharpen. So I definitely have females in here. I do have others that are going to turn into males. It's like a gigantic one of those Marimo moss balls. So this one I believe will end up being a male. If I can get closer, and you can see the color is a little bit different than with the other ones that are definitely female. There's some color in their tails, but not as much as like this one. And this one you can see the platinum color starting at the just behind the head, which is the saddle area. And if you didn't see my face and go running away, you could have seen that the anal fin was just beginning to sharpen into a gonopodium. So anyway, there are my ideas on sexing guppies. This tank is another one that has some a prior generation in there, males, and a next generation, which is going to be a lot of females. So there's one that's a little further along as far as being a male. You can see the tail hasn't started growing out yet, but the color's coming in. The dorsal's getting some color, and now everybody's in the way because they think they're getting food. So in this tank is a pretty good mix that you can see the development. Now this one's starting to get the black pec fins. The tail is starting to develop. And if I can get this other guy on. Let's see there. It's not easy with these guys. Okay, that one there we're trying to get. You can see the anal fin is just sharpening. The color is just coming into the tail, and the dorsal is white. But in another month, that dorsal will be the same color as the tail, like this guy here. And the tail will be longer, the dorsal will be longer, and the pec fins will be bigger. So that's the other variation with some of the Asian strains, primarily the big ear guppies, the dragon guppies, which I think are also big ear guppies. I'm not an expert on them. I mean, I've had them for a year now. I have quite a few tanks of them. I really think you have to go back a generation to keep your line going. And the reason for that is kind of twofold. You want to, since the males color up late, you want to pick a male or males from a prior generation or a prior batch, which is a prior generation, and pick ones that already have the color and the dorsal, the tail, and the bigger pec fins that you want, so that you don't ruin the line by having males that develop late that may end up with the wrong color or not large pec fins or just not having the dorsal come in color-wise. So anyway, I hope that helps. It's a little bit of a mix of things. If you have any questions and if you have any tips on what you do to sex the fish as they're coming out, the colors coming out, not as they're coming out of the female, the comment section would be appreciated. And I thank you very much for watching, and I'll get another video up soon.